Are you excited? You're gonna get to add and subtract like fractions. That's so exciting. You guys are up to big guns here in math. I'm so excited for you. Wow. All right. You're gonna say, but it really makes perfect sense. It's not that big a deal because I kind of know how to do it. Well, yeah, but that's because you've been practicing. And so let's take a look here. We're gonna add and subtract fractions. If you were to look at this box right here and tell me what the fraction was, what would it be? Tell me the fraction. Go. Oh, well, let's check to see. How many parts do you have in the whole? You have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts in the whole. So that goes on the bottom. How many parts are shaded? Did you say 1/4? Oh, I bet you did. Okay, so if this is shaded, 1/4, and this represents what fraction? Yep, the unit fraction 1/4. Well, now I'm going to show you what happens when you add those two together. If I add 1/4 to 1/4, I'm now going to have two boxes put together. I'm going to have my 1/4 over here and my 1/4 over here. So what do I have when I put them together? I have 2/4. I still have 4 parts in the whole, but now I have 2 of them shaded. 1 plus a 1. Ooh, I bet you noticed something already. Don't say it yet. Okay, let's take a look at this one right here. 1/4 plus 1/4 would equal 2/4. What about this one? What do we call this fraction right here? I've got 1, 2, 3 parts, and how much is shaded? Say it. 1/3. You guys got this. And then if I'm going to add it to, what does this fraction say? That represents the unit fraction 1/3 again. Well, if I'm going to add 1/3 plus 1/3, what's it going to equal? Well, 1 shaded part plus 1 shaded part gives me 2 shaded parts. Do I add the 3's together? No, because I'm just having 1/3 of this one plus 1/3 of this one gives me 2/3 altogether, because I'm taking this part and I'm adding it to this part, and then I end up with only 2/3 shaded. Pretty exciting. Now let's look at what happens when we have kind of a crazy situation with our circle eyeballs here. We have this one is what fraction? 1/2 plus 1/2. Well, if we have a half of a pizza and we add another half of the pizza to it, we have a whole pizza. So we know we end up with one whole pizza. How would we show that in a fraction? Well, 1 part plus 1 part equals how many parts? 2. And we're still dealing with the 2 parts in the whole. So 2/2, or 2 halves, when these two match, you have 1 whole of something. That is going to be true for every fraction for the rest of your life. If I go up here, let's say I change this picture here, and I start out with this, 2/4. If I have 2/4 and I add it together with another 2/4, how many fourths do I end up with? Well, 2 plus 2 gives me 4 parts that are shaded, and 4 out of 4 parts that are shaded are the same as the whole thing. So you could say that that equals 4/4, or 4/4, or you could say, I'm going to erase my label of what we're doing here. 4/4 is the same as 1 whole box. Ooh, isn't that fun? Okay, so that's what happens when you add things together. What happens when you subtract them? Now, in your homework and in your practicing in 2nd grade, you're always going to have the models drawn for you, the pictures drawn for you, so that you can figure out what the parts are, and you'll have something to color, or you'll have something to look at that's a picture. That's a wonderful help. I'm not going to give you ones without a picture in 2nd grade, but next year you'll be ready. So here, what we have here is one whole bar, and we're going to remove 1/2 of it. So if I have 1 whole and I subtract 1/2, what do I have left? Well, if I had the whole bar and I rip out this here, then I end up with how much left? Well, that's the other half that's left. Ooh, that's pretty crazy. Let's try this one. What fraction is this? Can you say it, please? 1, 2, 3 parts. They're shaded out of 4. Can you see that color? Is that dark enough? 3/4. Now I have a minus sign here, so I'm going to take away how many is in this picture. What fractional unit? Yep, the unit fraction 1/4 is represented here. So now I have 3/4 minus 1/4. Is the 4 at the bottom going to change, class? No, because that's the number, that's the whole, all the parts you have in the whole shape. But this is how many are shaded. I had 3 shaded, and I took 1 away, I subtracted 1, so I end up with how many left? 2 shaded parts, because 3 minus 1 is 2, and my 4 parts in the whole stays the same. The only thing that changes when you're adding and subtracting like fractions, when I say like, I mean these two numbers match. I'm dealing with the same shape cut the same number of ways. I'm dealing with the same pizza cut in the same number of slices. I'm dealing with the same candy bar cut in fourths or cut in thirds. I can add or subtract those like fractions. I can add 1/4 plus 2/4. That is a like fraction because these two match. The number of parts in the whole match. So 1/4 plus 2/4 would be 1 plus 2 equals 3/4. If I were to show that in a picture, let me get a darker color here, I would have 1/4 plus 3/4. And if I were to slide those together, this would cover this one and it would be, 2/4, sorry, 2/4. If I were to slide it together, it would be 1, 2, 3/4. I have 1, 2, 3/4 shaded, which is what we got up here. What if I had 2/4 plus 2/4? Well, I would end up with how many parts shaded? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. I would end up with 4. I still have 4 parts in the whole because if I slid them together, I would have 4/4. Well, 4/4 is the same as how many? One whole circle. Is that getting exciting for you? I hope so. What if we have this subtraction problem? What if we have 1 minus 1/3? Well, if I give you a picture, which I would, and I had it into thirds here, and I had, this was the 1, this is my whole 1, and I have 1/3 being taken out, how many would I have left? Well, I take out the third, how many would I have left? This one's represents 1/3. This one represents 1/3. So 1 minus the 1/3 gives you how many thirds left? 1/3, 2/3. So that would give you 2 parts left out of the 3 in the whole. The pictures are going to be very helpful, but you're going to be good at this. The one thing I want you to remember is that anytime your numbers match, when you have 3 out of 3 parts, when you have 3/3, your answer is 1 whole thing. You can write it either way. You can write 3/3 as your answer. That's perfectly correct. But you should also know that if you wrote 1 as your answer, if they match, that would be acceptable as well because they are equal to each other. All right? Same with 4/4. It would be the same. 4/4 would be 1 whole cinnamon roll. That sounds delicious. Let's talk about cinnamon rolls. That makes me hungry. What if I do more than 1 in a row? Can I do that in math? Oh, you're going to say, Mrs. Lecce, you're getting crazy on us. Yep, I'm going to say I want 1/4, but I want to get another 4th for my friend Ella, who we all know is in Indonesia. Hi, Ella. I hope you're watching. Are you still watching us way over in Indonesia? I bet you are. If you are, hi from all of us in 2nd grade. Okay, 1/4 plus 1/4 plus, if I want 1/4 also for Mrs. Niss, who is still going to school every day and is so lonely for all of us students, we want to give each person 1/4 of our cinnamon roll, okay? And so we have this whole cinnamon roll and we've divided it into fourths. So let's just make it unroll our cinnamon roll here for the purposes of an easy diagram. I have 1/4 here, 1/4 here, and 1/4 here. 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. Well, did I do this one? I didn't add it, so this one's going to be kind of left over. This is worth 1/4, but I'm only coloring in this one plus this one plus this one. Well, that's 1, 2, 3 fourths. That's 1, 2, 3 of the 4 that were put together. So yes, you can add several of them in a row. As long as your bottom number matches, it's super easy to just add across the top or subtract across the top. If I have 4/4 minus 1/4, see if you can figure out the answer. Oh, no kidding. How do you guys do that? Oh, I have little mathematicians in our class. No, big mathematicians, because I bet you're growing even while you're sitting there in your chair. That's amazing. All right, so I am impressed that you can do this. I think you're going to have a great time with your workbook. You're going to do workbook pages 53 through 57. And I have one last thing for you. Do you know that you're a fraction? You are a fraction in our class. Can you believe it? Can you think of the fraction that you are? If we include Ella in our count, which we would because she's still technically a second grader that we love in second grade, that would make how many students in all in our class? 20 students. The whole class is 20 students. That's the parts in the whole, right? You agree? Okay, but how many what are you? How many people are you? You are not 5 people, stop that. You're one person. One person, you are a fraction because you are 1/20 of the students in second grade. You are 1/20 of the students in second grade. I have a crazy challenge problem for you. Are you ready? This is what you're going to do for homework. Do that, blah, blah. But listen to my fun thing next. Okay, so if we had a whole class of second graders, and remember that one whole class is equal to 20 students out of 20 students, right? Okay, you got me? There's 20 students sitting in the classroom out of 20 students in the whole class. Nobody's absent. We have 20 out of 20, or one whole second grade class, split into 20 different parts. Are you with me? Yeah, it's kind of fun. Okay, but then our friend Ella moves. She moves to Indonesia. Hello again. Okay, so she moves, and we subtract. How many was she? She was just one person out of 20 students in the second grade class. And now she's gone, so we've subtracted. So what is the fraction of students that we have left in second grade that live in the Seattle area? Well, 20 minus 1 Ella gives us 19 students out of 20 in the whole that are left. So 19/20ths of you still live in this area, and you have just put yourself into a fraction problem and figured it out. Yay! When you do your homework on the workbook, I want you to pay attention to whether it is this sign or this sign. That's gonna matter. All right, off to it. Have fun.